Hey guys, this is Supriya and I'm back again with another video on Selenium WebDriver series, and my today's topic is CSS Selector. So in today's session we will learn how to create the customized CSS Selector. So a CSS Selector is one of the 8 locators that we have seen already, which are used to locate the web element on the web pages. And we have also seen that most commonly used locator is the customized XPath or XPath. So that is mostly used and widely used. But if you use CSS Selector, that has some advantages over the XPath. So I'll just quickly tell you what are the advantages of CSS Selector over the XPath, okay? And then we will learn how to create the customized CSS Selector, okay? So Selector is faster than XPath to find any web element on the web pages. Secondly, CSS Selector remains constant for every browser. So if you are running your automation scripts on any browser, say Internet Explorer or Mozilla or Chrome, CSS Selector that you are using remains constant. You don't have to change it, okay? And if you're working on Internet Explorer, CSS Selector is the most preferred locator, okay? And however, if you're using XPath might differ from browser to browser. So CSS Selector remains constant on every browser. So we have seen two differences, and the third difference is it's very simple to write, it's very simple to understand, and its syntax is simpler than XPath. So it's like very similar to XPath, but very simple to understand. So let's start to learn creating the customized CSS Selector. So I have this website with GoDaddy.com page, and this is the create an account page of GoDaddy.com. So here, if I want to locate this email or username or password web element using the CSS Selector, we will learn that, okay? So let me first tell you that if you have ID or any class attribute, okay, so for example, if we take the example of this email text field, and if I spy this, you can see that there is an input tag, and we have the ID as the attribute, okay, with its value as email, okay? So if you are creating your own CSS Selector using the ID attribute, let's learn first that, okay? So my first creation would be related to ID attribute. So let me just write this to make you understand. CSS Selector for ID attribute, okay? So guys, I'm just telling you the basics of creating the CSS Selector. You would need to practice and explore more and more to learn, to know more and more on creating the CSS Selector. So I'm just pushing you over writing the basics of CSS Selector, okay? And the remaining complex CSS Selector would be done by you once you start exploring it on your own, okay? So so we were talking about the ID attribute, and there are many ways, okay? There are 3 ways in fact. So the first way would be using hash, okay? So if you have the ID attribute for this email field, what I'll do, I just copy the value email and I'll just put hash. Now this hash is specifically for ID attribute. Okay, so I'll just put hash and I'll just paste the value of the CSS selector. Now let me just check if this is the correct CSS selector or not. So yes, this is the correct CSS selector. Okay, see, this section got highlighted, and you can also check here if you want. You can check here as well. See, this dotted lines shows that you are at the correct web element. There is one more plugin, Selectors Hub, that I have installed. So you can also install, and this has been created by Sanjay Kumar, and this is very helpful. You can write XPath, CSS selector, and I'll just show you how this can be used. So see, when I pasted this CSS selector hash email, this captured the tag and the value, that particular web element. Okay, that particular tag and its attributes and its values. See, it's the same thing I got over here. So it got one element matching. So this plugin is Selectors Hub that you can also install, created by Sanjay Kumar, and this is really very helpful. Okay, so this is working. So this was about the ID. Now there is one more way you can do that. As we have seen that there is an input tag. Okay, so what we can do is we can make the use of input tag, and we can write same thing, hash email. So this is also another pattern of writing the CSS selector for ID attribute. And see, so this is also correct. Okay, so this is also another way of writing the CSS selector for ID attribute. Okay, and okay, there is another way of writing the CSS selector, and that is you can just write input tag. Okay, and inside the square brackets you can just write the ID attribute equals to and its value inside the single quotes, or you can write that inside the double quotes as well. Both will work. So this is also another pattern. Okay, so this will also work. Okay, see, this is also working. So both are correct. I mean, all three patterns are good to go. So in XPath, it's same as the XPath. Only the difference is in XPath you used to write the double slash and then the input and then the at the rate character. Okay, then it worked. But in CSS selector, no need to write double slashes and at the rate character. You can just directly write the attribute name and its value. Okay, so this is how you write the CSS selector for the ID attribute. Okay, now we will learn how to create the CSS selector for the class attribute. Okay, so only the difference between the ID and class would be, in ID we have seen we have used hash character, in class we will use dot character. Okay, so it's very simple. So let's pick up another field. Let me just spy this username field, and this is the input tag, and let me just take Okay, so here we go. Here we have the class attribute, and there, this is the value of the class attribute. So I'll copy it and I'll just put dot first. I can directly write the entire value, but you have to be very careful when you are writing the value. If there are spaces, see, this is one class, okay, this is another class, and there is a space, and this is the third class. Okay, so there, if there are spaces between classes, okay, then you have to fill those spaces with the dot character. Okay, only then this will work. Or else what you can do, you can just let me just, so initially what I copied was this. Okay, so you can just use this part of the value, this will also work, or you can use the partial, the second class. Okay, till here this will also work. Okay, so but you have to put dot before that, and then the third class also you can copy and use it. So all three will work, and if you want to use together, and if there is a space between them, the classes, then you have to just fill those spaces with the use of dot character. Okay, so let me just first try this. Okay, so see, this is my CSS selector. You have to just start your value with dot, and if there are spaces between the classes in the value, then you have to fill those spaces with the dot character, and it should work. Okay, I'll show you here also. So see, one element matching, and this is that username element. I'll also show you in the selector hub. So see, this is the web element and the input tag. Okay, so this is that element. Okay, now if I want to use the partial, the part of that class value, then let's see whether this works or not. Okay, so yes, so it's still working, but if there will be more than one web elements matching this CSS selector, then it will return you that number of web elements. Okay, but currently it's specifically returning me this username field. Okay, so there is only one web element currently, so it's same over here as well. Okay, likewise you can use this also. So let's use this second part also. And yes, so see here, there are two index values that are being shown here. So if you just, so this is working same for another field also, which is the email field. Okay, okay, so in such scenarios wherein you have more than one web element, then you would need to use the entire class value. Okay, so you have to just check whether you are getting this particular web element or not. If you're not, then you have to manipulate your CSS selector accordingly. Okay, so this is one pattern of writing the CSS selector for class attribute. Another pattern would be using the tag name. So my tag name is input, and you can just put dot, since this is a class attribute, so we will use dot, and same way you will copy and paste the entire value, class name value. Okay, so okay, let me just copy it again. What was my class value? so this was my class value. So I'll put an input tag dot and I'll paste my class value, but I can see here that I have some spaces, so I'll fill those spaces with the dot character. Okay, and here we go. So this is my second pattern for class attribute. Okay, so let's see if this works. Yes, this is also working. Now another third pattern would be using the input tag or any tag inside which your attribute is placed at. So currently my class attribute is inside the input tag, so I'll use input tag here, followed by the square brackets, and then you will write class. Just simply write class equals to and then the value of the class name. Okay, so this should also work. So the third pattern is quite similar to XPath, only the thing is you are not putting double slashes here. Okay, and the character over here. Okay, so why it's not working? Okay, so you need to be careful. If you're using the third pattern, then no need to fill the spaces with the dot character. You can just directly copy the value and paste it over here. Okay, so I made a mistake and I'm sorry about that. So now here we go. Okay, so this is also working. Okay, so these are the three patterns in particular for ID attribute and the class attribute. Now you can also write the CSS selector using some symbols. And what are those symbols? Okay, so those symbols are, my first symbol would be starts with symbol. Okay, so using symbols, my first symbol would be starts with symbol, and this is this symbol. My second symbol would be ends with symbol, and we put dollar for that. And my third symbol would be contains. Okay, and for contains we just put star mark or asterisk mark. Okay, and this contains is mostly used symbol while creating the CSS selector. This is very important. Okay, so let's take the same example to understand these symbols. Okay, so for example, let's take this class attribute only for this, say, password field. Okay, this is inside the input tag, and my okay, this is the small value for this class attribute. So let's stick to that same username field because the value of the class attribute is big. If I want to use username, okay, as the value for the class attribute, so what I'll do, I just write input tag. So guys, I'm writing directly here, input tag, square brackets, and I'll put class because that's the value for the class attribute, and I will just say starts with symbol equals to username. Okay, so see, this is also working. So now how to use the ends with symbol? So simply we will consider the same example. I'll just buy this again. Okay, so I'll just copy this first and paste it in my notepad. Okay, now we will be using the ends with symbol, which is the dollar symbol. Okay, so I'll again take the same example. So this time this is my complete value, and I just want to pick up this form control. Even you can pick up control also. Okay, so but if you're only selecting the part of the entire class, then you would need to use contains symbol. Okay, but if you are using the entire class, then you can use either starts with or ends with. Here we are understanding ends with symbol, so this class value is ending with form control. So the pattern would be like this: input tag, square brackets, class attribute. Now here you will write dollar, that is ends with, equals to, and the value. Okay, so see, there are three values. Which are those three values? First is this username field only, and second one is the password field. Okay, and the third one is the second one was the username field, first one was the email field, and the third one is the password field. So all these three web elements, the class attribute value are ending with form control. Okay, so if you want to get the list of the web elements which are ending with this particular value or any particular value that you want of a particular attribute, then this is how you can write your CSS selector. This is how you can fetch those number of or list of web elements. Okay, and let's now make the use of the contains symbol. So first let me just write this here. So let me just only I'll just remove this first, and okay, I'll just pick up this control value. Okay, and same way I'll write input tag, square brackets, class attribute. Okay, this time I'll use asterisk, contains with, and only the part of that value. And see, again I'm getting three web elements. Okay, and if you just check it inside the CSS the selector hub plugin, then this will just give you three web elements. Okay, one for emails, another one for username, and the third one for password. Okay, so this is all about using the symbol for creating the CSS selector, and now we will understand the parent-child relationship between the different tags. Okay, so let me just take another example. So using parent-child concept. So I'll just select, I have selected this PLP page of Myntra.com. That's the e-commerce website. Okay, I have so many products here, and let me just inspect this page. And okay, so this is the div tag, and there is one ID value. I just copied this, Control F. Now this is the ID value, so I'll put hash over here that we learned just now, and I'll say div before that. This is another pattern. I can definitely write in that pattern also. Okay, so what we are learning here is the parent-child relationship. Okay, so I have this parent div whose ID is desktop search results. This is the value of the ID attribute. And this is the div tag, which is the child of this div tag, which is in yellow. Okay, so in order to find this immediate child, what I'll do, I just put this greater than sign and div. If you want div child, immediate div child of this particular parent tag, then you will just put greater than symbol and the tag name that you want to find or that you want to reach to. Okay, so this is the immediate div tag or the child of this parent tag or the any tag name that you want. Okay, so you have to just use this symbol, and this is how it will take you to the child of the particular parent tag. Okay, what if you remove this and just put a space, then it will find all the divs as well as, and these are all the child of that particular parent as well as the subchild of all the div subchilds will be found. Okay, so there are 647. So if you keep on just searching them, so see, this is finding the child as well as the subchild of that parent tag. Okay, so depending upon the tag you mention here, and if you're putting the space, then it will find the child and the subchild of all the div tags. And if you are putting the greater than sign, then it will just find the immediate child of that particular div tag. So this is how it works. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it over here. Okay, and the second pattern just now we learned, if you want all the child and subchilds, then you have to just put a space there. Okay, now if you want the particular child, so here if you write the greater than sign, you just find the immediate child of the parent. But what if there are 10 children, okay, if there are 10 children, and if you want to reach to the fourth child, then there is another pattern which says after this div hash the value, what you will do, you will just write colon nth hyphen child, and if you want to reach to the fourth child, you will just write 4 over there, and that's it. So this is the pattern. So let me just try this and see if this is taking me to the fourth child of this parent value. Okay, so no, there is no fourth child as such. So let me just find another example. Just a moment, guys. Let me just pick up another value. Okay, let me just select this, any particular product. Okay, so let's take this example. So here we can see that there are this is one UL tag, and this is my these are my li tags. So as we just learned this, if we consider this as UL tag as the parent tag, li, these li's are all the children of this UL tag, and this is the immediate child. So if you want to reach to the immediate child or the first child, then you can just put greater than symbol, and you can do that. if you want all the children and the sub-children of UL tag, which is the parent tag, then you have to just put a space, okay, that we just learned. But what if you want to go to this fourth element or the third element or the product? So 1, 2, 3. So for that you have to copy this class value of li tag, and I'll just say li, and since this is the class attribute, so I'll put dot its value, okay, and then I want to go to the fourth product, so I'll just say colon nth hyphen child fourth product. So see, it took me to the fourth product. So if you put nth child 4, it means that it will first check which is that tag and what is its value. So I have my tag name is li and my class name is product base. So it will find that in this HTML DOM. Okay, the moment it finds that, it will, now there are so many li's, okay, and say there on this page there are 50 products, so there will be 50 li's with this class attribute and its value. But I want to go to the fourth product or the fourth li, then I just put a colon after that, nth child, and the number of element. So if you would want to go to the fifth product, then it will take you to the fifth product. Okay, so let me just copy this. Okay, and so we understood the parent-child concepts as well. Just remove this. Okay, so I have 3 patterns under parent-child, and see guys, you would need to explore more and more to understand the complex CSS selectors. So this, I'm just providing you the basic, the foundation of creating the customized CSS selector. So now using the nth of type property. So this was the nth child property, okay, for parent-child concept, and now we will understand the nth of type property. Okay, so for that I will use another example. So let's consider this example, make my trip.com, and for that, just a moment guys, let me just pick up one good example. Okay, so okay, just a moment guys. Got this example. So I have this div tag of this class attribute, and this is the value. So this is the header containers. Okay, so let me just write this properly. Just a moment guys. Okay, inside this div tag or the parent div tag, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 children, okay, span, nav, ul. And if I want to reach to ul, this particular ul tag, which is the child of this div tag, then how would I do that? So let me just properly write this CSS selector. So I just write this way: div square class equals, okay, and I want to reach to ul, so I'll just write like this, ul Okay, so it took me to the first child of this div tag. But what if I want to go to the second child? I don't want to go to the first child. Then what I will do, I just write colon end of type and the second value. So it took me to the second child. Okay, because I have two children with the same name UL and I want to go to the second child, then I'll just make the use of nth of type property. Okay, so let me just check if make the use of the nth child property, if that works or not. So I just put here. So see guys, this is not working because there are two children of the same name, and in such a case it won't take you to the a second child. Or if there are so many children with the same tag name, then you would need to use the property nth of type. Okay, so nth of type 2. Okay, so this is the difference between nth child and nth of type. Nth of type you would use if you have two children with the same name. Okay, and if you want to go to reach to a particular child. Okay, and nth child is like you will have to mention which your tag, then it will take you to that particular UL child. Okay, so I'll just copy this and paste it here. So this is my fourth pattern. Now coming to the siblings. Okay, so we would need to use the plus symbol if you want to go to the immediate sibling, and you can use this particular tilde symbol, okay, if you want to get all the siblings. So let's consider the same example. And what if I want plus UL? Okay, no, this won't work. Okay, let me just take another example. So let me just go to the same PLP page of Myntra.com website, and here let me just inspect this, and let me again go to this li tags. Okay, so just a moment guys, I'll just copy this class value and I'll say li square brackets class equals to, okay, so I have reached till these LIs. So I have 50 products. Can you see this? I have 50 LIs with this class value. Now I want to go to the sibling of this LI. So who is the sibling of this LI? This LI. This blue colored LI is the sibling of this yellow colored LI. Okay, so if I want to, now I have reached this first. So if I want to reach to the sibling of this LI, so I'll just say, now first I would need to reach to this first LI. So for that I'll say nth child. So now here we can use nth child property. Okay. Oh, I would need to use colon here, not the greater symbol. Okay. So see, it took me to the first child because I have put the first number over here, 1 over here. Okay, if you put 3, it will take you to the third child, okay, with this class attribute. Okay, so I want to go to the third child sibling. So I'll just make the use of plus symbol and I'll say li. So it took me to the fourth child. Okay, because see, till here I'm reaching to the third child, but the moment I wrote plus li, it took me to the fourth child, because fourth child is the third child sibling. If I put another plus li, it will take me to the fifth child, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is how you can reach to the siblings of particular tag name, okay, by making the use of plus symbol. And what if you want to get all the siblings, then you have to just use this particular symbol, which is this tilde. Okay, so it will get you 52 LIs. See, so this is the main difference between plus symbols and this tilde symbols. Okay, so let me just copy this as well. So these are some of the basic pattern of writing the CSS selector. With this, I end with this video and see you in the next video.